Hey guys, Kamen here with a multi-review. This time I'll be reviewing the Soto Kamen Genmu, level X-0, Genmu level 0, Proto Combat Gamer, and Proto Sports Gamer from Kamen X-0. So, take another look into the Soto series with the next few things I'm going to be reviewing. So this time around it's going to be a little bit different since I took a look at the basic structure of how the figures and armor are sold and how they go together in my first video on these. And because that video actually went on for longer than I expected it to, I'm going to be looking at the figures already constructed and not have them separated. And I'm also doing that partially because one of the pieces on the figures just will not come off, so I can't really show off all the contents of the cross armor set on its own when one of the pieces just won't come off. But for these sets, the two figures of Genmu were sold on their own, and there was a cross armor set that had pieces for both of them that was meant to go along with it, and then the two Pro Gamers were also sold on their own. So, let's get started. So, we'll start off by looking at Kamen Genmu Zombie Gamer level X-0, which is Genmu revived using the Gamer driver as well as the Pro Mighty Action X Origin GACHA and the Dangerous Zombie GACHA to transform. And so, what this suit is and what this figure is basically just normal Genmu, but using the Gamer driver instead of the Buggle driver. He is mostly black and white plastics, with some paint and some stickers, so we'll look at him from top to bottom. For the head, the eyepieces are sticker. The silver piece over here is paint. The black and white parts are plastic. Then you come down to the chest piece, where most of it is plastic. The silver, once again, is paint. Pretty much all of the silver on here, with a couple of exceptions, is actually painted on. You got a sticker there. And this is the piece that was giving me trouble. This piece, for whatever reason, is stuck in place, and I can't remove this, so I can't really show you guys all of the separate contents of the cross armor set. But for Genmu, really the only thing that came for him in the cross armor set, or the only pieces for him in the cross armor set, were the helmet, chest plate, and this shoulder pad, which does have a hinge to it. For this arm over here, got all paint up here, except for the black plastic, white down here. These two parts are again painted silver. This part here is a sticker. Then the other side, paint and paint here. No stickers to speak of on this arm. We've got the generic 2-GACHA Gamer driver right here. Has the Kimo as a slot holder. Then there's a sticker over here which has a little bit of silver on it, and that's why I say that most of the silver on him is paint, but not all of it. Coming down to the legs, got paint up here, plastic down here, stickers on the sides as well as down here, and then paint on the feet. And coming down to the back, you have white plastic with some silver paint. For his articulation, he's got a ball joint head, though on mine it's pretty stiff when turning side to side. Arms rotate all the way around like this, can move out this far thanks to the hinged shoulder pad. Got that single joint elbow, no wrist rotation, no waist. Legs go around all over the place like this on ball joints. Have that nice pretty deep single joint knee and the ball joint ankles. Here is a look at the dummy head, which is just all white and with a sticker for the eyes. Another piece for this figure that came as part of the cross armor set was this piece here, which has one GACHA and then the hybrid Mechakogi GACHA in slot 2, which is something he used in the show for the invincibility mode, or the 10-second invincibility. So you can just simply switch that out like that. Now for a little comparison, here he is with the LVUR Genmu Zombie Gamer. And we can see that there's a lot more work put into the LVUR figure, obviously, since it is a more expensive figure. It has a lot more going for it. You can see there's a lot more paint to it. Obviously no stickers, but then again, it also gives you, some of these clear red pieces. It has an overall much cleaner look. Honestly, I think it does take away from the look of it that these bone pieces are stickers, because these are some of the pieces that really come off the most easily. So the only detail that's on the solo figure that is not on the LVR one is that for these pieces here, these are all silver painted here, and then for these stickers they're both white and silver, but the fact that they're stickers does kind of take away from it. Aside from that, you do still have a lot of the same details between the two figures. And here we have Kamen Genmu Action Gamer Level 0. I also want to correct that for the zombie form, it's actually Kamen Genmu Zombie Action Gamer Level X-0, since that uses 2 GACHAs. But anyway, so this is the revived form of Genmu. And it's pretty much the same as the original Genmu suit, just with all of these purple lines changed to silver. And here's wherein you kind of get what I said back in my first Soto series review, where I said that it's likely that this aesthetic is just something that comes with the territory of being a level 0 rider, since this kind of detailing is also on Lazer Turbo level 0. But you can see it's got a lot of nice paint detail. Got some nice blacks, gunmelts, and purples. A lot of nice metallic purple on stuff like the collar and shoulder pads. Obviously for him, his parts from the crossover set were the head, chest and back plate, shoulder pads, and the back headpiece, or back face piece. Got stickers here on the eyes. Then the chest plate sticker. Pads on the arms. These parts on the gauntlets. Got them down here on these lines. Obviously back of the bi and back of the legs. And that's pretty much it for the stickers. Here's the same articulation. Now his ball joint is definitely a lot more stable and a lot more sturdy. And then there's also his dummy head right here. Besides that, there's really not too much else to say about him, since it's pretty much just Genmu Level 2 with some different colors here and there. Next we have the Proto Combat Gamer, one of 2 gamers summoned when using their specific Proto GACHAs. So for these, they follow the same kind of color scheme as the Proto GACHAs, being completely monotone versions of their normal selves. For this one, it's made pretty much of just this gunmetal gray plastic, with some paint here and there as well as several stickers. So we got stickers here, 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 here. That one's peeling. Stickers for the mouth, on the shoulders. One down here, the rest of it is paint. And paint on the foot pieces, and then stickers on the sides. You can see it also has a back assembly similar to the LVUR series, but the transformation or combination is a little bit different. And he does still have the Gatling gun arms. For side-by-side comparison, here he is with the Level Up Rider series Combat Gamer. And you can see it gets a lot of the details right, with not too much change, just the big difference being here in the feet, where they're a lot closer together and on these rotating hinge joints. He also doesn't have the STG on the wings, though considering that there weren't any stickers for that, that might actually be something that's accurate to the series, especially because this wasn't actually primarily used by Snipe. So since the SCG thing is more of a trademark of Snipe, it makes sense to take that out. Also included with this is a trophy, which is basically an area item or game area item that is summoned when Kamen Lazer takes the field. There were similar game area items for X-0, Brave, and Snipe that were released as part of a special set that I will be reviewing later on. And he also has this little clip here that's used for attaching him to a stand when used with another rider. So in the series, the Pro Gamers were used by Lazer Turbo, so that's who we're going to use to combine them with. For Lazer Turbo, we're going to be discarding the shoulder pieces and the chest piece, as we won't be needing them, and they'll actually be replaced. Then, for the Pro Combat Gamer, we're going to open it up, similarly to how it's done with the LVR series version. Actually, pop off this chest piece here. Remove these connector pieces and pop off the shoulder pads from them, and then set these aside. Then we are going to take this, come around to the back, and plug this into the back of the belt. It'll go in like that. Plug the chest piece in where the original one was. And we're going to clip in the shoulder pads with this piece, with the white piece facing upwards. One there. And one here. The final thing to do is to detach the Gatling gun pieces. And plug them into the bottom of Lazer Turbo's hands. So do the same thing on the other side. And these can be a little bit tricky because of the way that they go into place and how it has to be a pretty tight connection. And here we have Kamen Lazer Turbo, Proto Combat Bike Gamer Level 3. And yes, Lazer Turbo does have the longest form names. That really just comes from both a word being added onto the end of his name and a word being added onto the beginning of the two Proto Gamers that he uses. So those just combine to make those form names especially long. And one thing I did forget to show for the combination is that you do have to replace the belt with this one that has two GACHAs in it, since the Proto GACHAs for these do of course go in the second slot. So this is pretty much, well, it's got a lot of the same details and it is very much, or it's nearly the same form as Snipe's Level 3. But just having the colors different, no STG on the wings, and for his combinations, he keeps his original head, so no kind of face mask to go over it. And he still retains a lot of his articulation. These pieces are on hinges, so they move out of the way pretty easily, and still allow for good range of movements in the arms. Of course, these can be moved around quite a bit since they're held like this, not always connected to the backpack. And it does go pretty cleanly on the back here, while still allowing you to see the back faceplate. For a little comparison, here is the unfolded LVUR version of the armor. You can see there are definitely some differences. It's a lot more compact and slimmed down. The wings are raised a little bit higher and are comparatively, or at least proportion-wise, a little bit bigger. The shoulders obviously don't sit as high, and he's missing that face mask. Now, one of the interesting things I actually tested out after seeing this were these. Now, the instructions tell you to have these like this when having your figure hold it. One thing I was actually able to test out and discovered was that in a similar manner, even though it's not in the instructions, these pieces actually do detach from the backpack. So, one thing I didn't realize, and something that actually is pretty even between them, is that you can actually also have your level up rider figure have these held in just the hands without having to have them permanently connected here, to, again, free up some range of movement in the arms. And usually you get this little piece here, which plugs into the back of this. Or I believe it's supposed to plug in somewhere. Yeah, it does plug into here. This is what allows you to attach it to a stand like this one. And by actually using this, it's basically an extender. It's an extension piece. Allows you to pose this figure hovering in midair, which is a nice little touch. Next we have the Pro Sports Gamer. And he is pretty similar to the Pro Kamen Gamer in that he's the normal sports gamer but monochrome, or monotone. So for this one, it is mostly plastic and paint. You got some black and white plastics, as well as some gunmetal gray. And then some silver paint for the spokes of the wheels. And really the only stickers on here are this eye piece here and then these two white stickers on the chest piece. Or will be the chest piece. You can see that there are a couple of handlebars with which you can use and have your rider hold onto them. Though admittedly, it becomes a little bit more awkward with a lot of these figures that don't actually have any wrist articulation, meaning you basically have to turn the entire arms in order to get them to hold the handles, and that is a little bit of an oversight when it comes down to something like this. Unfortunately, again, the grips are a little bit tight, so I'm not really going to show that off. It's because it would be a bit much of a hassle, or a bit too much of a hassle. But I am going to cut here and try to get the figure onto the bike in a decent enough manner. Okay, so upon attempt, that was a no-go because basically without being able to, or with the arms bent in that position, they just don't move out far enough to really allow the figure to grip onto it. And that is kind of a shame because from what I've been able to tell, not very many figures in this line actually have wrist articulation, so it really is just the few that have it that would probably be, or properly be able to ride this in its vehicle form. But this one also includes the same trophy piece. When we take a little bit of a closer look, we can see it's got some nice detail in paint. You have this short Greek-style column that sits upon. And you can actually remove the trophy and have a character hold it using the peg in their hand. So that's a neat little touch. So next up we'll do the combination with Lazer Turbo. This time for Lazer Turbo I already have the belt switched out, and we just need to remove the chest plate this time to keep the shoulder pads. So the transformation for this is basically the same as with the LVUR version. So flip this piece down, flip around this half, and fold up the part with the handlebars. In this case, instead of attaching it from the top, we attach it from the front, plugging this piece into where the chest piece was. Something like that. Then just bringing these pieces down as much as possible. And here we have Kamen Rider Lazer Turbo Pro Sports Bike Gamer Level 3. So, if you thought that the LVUR combination using the Sports Gamer was awkward, this kind of takes the cake on that, or kind of goes beyond that and is even more awkward. The first thing that you'll notice is that really this is very oversized for the rider. I feel like they made this piece a little bit too long or a bit too big, and because of that it really looks a lot more clunky than it should on the rider, and it does look awkward. The second thing you'll notice is how low down the chest piece sits. That doesn't really look right. And the combination is basically the same, but it doesn't really look all that great. And I certainly would say that the Proto Combat Gamer is the superior of the two. That being said, you can still remove this wheel from here and have him hold it in one hand. Like with a lot of stuff, the joint is very tight, so it is tricky to actually get it in there. But it does stay, thanks to how tight the joint is. And of course, these can be used with the other figures in the series, since they are compatible. So here we have a look at Genm level 0 in, I guess, what would be Proto Sports Action Gamer level 3. The combination is still awkward, but I do feel like, for one reason or another, this kind of does just fit Genm better than Lazer, just style-wise, even if the bodies are the same. I especially feel like just the way it's designed and the fact that he used the normal version of it a lot normally, or, he used it a lot in the series, the normal version at least. This does just kind of go along pretty well with him. And this also lets me kind of kill two birds with one stone. That also lets me make a comparison to the Level Up Rider series version. So you can see the colors are different. They use kind of different shades of purple, with the one here on the LVUR version being a little bit more bluish. Then you also see the comparison on the Sports Gamers. And yeah, you can see that comparatively, I do think that it generally looks better on this version here. Because the chest piece sits a lot higher, it does look more like it's actually in the right position. And it doesn't feel like it's too big or too awkward for the figure, even if it does have these unfortunate pegs that you gotta stick on the shoulders. But that just goes to show that there is some give and take, to where there's some things that look better in the LVUR series, some that look better in the Soto series. And there we go. So overall, this next set is a bit of a mixed bag in the terms of the quality, in terms of the accuracy, and how they compare to the Level Up Rider series versions. But looking at these and looking more into the Soto series has kind of made me think and given me some ideas on possible reasons why there are these differences between these different figures at different price points. Especially because when you look at the Soto series, aside from some of the different aspects, they do seem a little bit more like a cheaper, smaller alternative to SH Figuarts compared to the gimmick figure lines, because there are a lot of different parts that you take off and put on and swap around. And that's not really something you see with the gimmick figure lines, and I think a lot of that comes down to the price points. Because 4 to 6 figure arts, those are the highest price point figures generally, aside from a couple of other lines, but in terms of your kind of basic or standard 3 types of rider figures, those being Kenny Toys, gimmick figures, and SHF. And so for those are figures that are strictly aimed at older collectors, so they put a lot more effort. They are aimed at an audience who has a little bit more money to spend on them, so they're able to put more into it, and because they're aimed at older people, they are, generally the kind of things where they don't really have a problem with swapping around these different parts to change around the different options for the figures. For the Soto figures and other Kenny Toy figures, the thing about them is that these are meant to be sold for 500-600 yen a piece, roughly. So, because the riders in the series are typically split up into 2 sets, it's basically like you're buying a $10 to $12 figure that's split up into 2 parts. And they also try to keep costs down by not using too much paint and having a lot of it being plastic and stickers. And the stickers are really one of the things that keep the costs down as well. And these are the kind of things that are, just meant to be picked up and, maybe put together with the help of a kid's parents. And, that's why there are these different stickers in small pieces. As for the gimmick figures, they kind of are in a little bit of an awkward middle ground, to where they aren't sold at a high enough price point to really get a lot of the same details and stuff as the SH figure arts. They're also meant to have a gimmick incorporated, and they do have a bit more of a budget, or there is a bit more that needs to put into them, because they are a larger figure and they try not to have a lot of small pieces that could act as choking hazards, since these are meant for, since they are meant for little kids. And so they're also intended to be very simple and easy to use. So they don't want to have a lot of small pieces or a lot of stickers or anything like that. They just want to give the kids these action figures that are simple and easy to use, that they can just basically take right out of the box and go and play with. So with that in mind, obviously whether or not you buy these is up to you, but it's definitely nice that these were made into figures, even if they weren't in the main gimmick line. So next time I'll be reviewing the pair and cover sets for the Aptly Drive Duo. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and if you're new and would like to see more, please subscribe. And for now, this is KRX50, riding off.